Hey guys, Johnny Quirk back once again here to support your entrepreneurial journey. Okay, cool. So today I'm really excited to say that we have James Brewer from BREWERBODY on the line. James, great to have you here.
Oh, it's great to be here, Johnny. Great to be here. Great to hear you. Just happy to be here.
Oh, amazing, man. And I must just say to any new listeners and our loyal viewers and listeners out there that today is one you do not want to change that dial because we have a super inspiring story. So make sure that you listen to our entire interview today with James. So, James, in your own words, could you describe exactly, what your business is and what it is that it does?
Well, that's a great question. Johnny, how are you doing? My name is James Brewer, BREWERBODY, and what I do is I'm a personal trainer and group fitness trainer. What we do here, we personal train one-on-one sessions and then also have group sessions, classes, which are done, 7 days a week now, different hours of the day, mornings, afternoons, just getting people away from their everyday, grind that they're into right now.
Yeah, and is that a mixture of online and offline? I believe there must have probably been a bit of a pivot over the last COVID times.
Yes, pre-COVID. Everything was done one-on-one, face to face, and everything. But now the pandemic has given us another opportunity into the tech world, where we're zooming a lot or streaming things. And here at BREWERBODY, we wanted to just keep that same motivation, going. Like, how are we also going to motivate our clients and our people in our group classes? Well, from pre-pandemic, we just kind of jumped right into it. Like the day everything shut down, the next day we kind of did this commercial, did this spot, and boom, next thing you know, the next day we have everyone online just working out and keeping their same routine, because you don't want to get out of that. And
Yeah.
so that's what we didn't want.
And you're based in New York, that's right?
Yes, we're based in New York. I live in Brooklyn, and
Yeah.
my business is pretty much in Manhattan, in the city on the Upper East Side.
Yeah, cool. I've visited many times. It's a great city, so it's a good place for you to be, just to hop across the water to run your business as well.
Indeed.
In terms of that, have you seen, has the COVID pandemic opened up a whole new audience for you of people doing online, or has it been mainly people who were with you originally? Has your scope gone out of the New York area, or is it still focused mainly on that kind of metropolitan area?
It 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 has been in the New York area a lot, but it's I've found myself being, we had to shoot maybe a couple of other commercials to let everyone know, it's okay. This is something new.
Yeah.
Zoom has given us options to where you can have your screen off and still be there. So, because some people were kind of hesitant with it. And then after we said, you know what, let's do a couple of commercials saying you don't have to put your screen on if you don't feel comfortable, and X, Y, and Z. And so once we did that, more and more clients, people, gravitated towards that. I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. I can really continue my workouts with the pandemic going on the screen.
Yeah, of course. And in terms of your actual customers, who is your typical BREWERBODY customer? That's not a trick question.
Well, it's you want to say the weekend warriors, but that's not. That's not it. We have those, former athletes. Pretty much everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone is a BREWERBODY, athlete, because we want to get you powerful, one rep at a time. That's one of the things I believe in. So each rep, you are becoming onto that fitness journey of becoming a better you, more and more powerful. I have families with older clients. Families with children. They have their athletes, their children athletes. They take they're playing all types of competitive sports, soccer, basketball, baseball. And they have their practices, but they also want to gain that edge. And I know BREWERBODY gives you that little extra edge to your advantage.
And that's amazing, because I was going to ask you, what your USP was, that unique selling point of BREWERBODY. And if that gives you that extra edge, man, then, there's our soundbite for the day as well. Let's get a commercial rolling right now. So, we're going to dig into your life story a little bit. Like I said to everybody, definitely worth listening in for that. But what kind of gave you the idea for BREWERBODY? I think I'm right in thinking you've been running this now for about 11 or 12 years. I take it was just yourself that started off. I know that you've got a team now of people who, work for yourself. What kind of gave you that kind of passion, really, without giving away too much of your life story?
Well, it's the passion in order to help others, because being a former athlete, I played basketball professionally, and we were always, I always wanted to help people, no matter what. I mean, even during practices, I always wanted to get better.
Yeah.
And so since me retiring, I wanted to keep that going. Like, how can I bring that athletic feel to the everyday 9-to-5 person who works? And that's why I said, let me jump into, this is what I wanted to do, jump into fitness. It was it was a part of me, and I wanted to stay in shape. And but I've had that vision from day one. I mean, retiring and then working with other big high-end gyms, I always knew that I would always want a specialty place, a facility for myself.
Yeah.
In order, nothing big, but just small, to where a community, to build that community and where it can grow.
Yeah, so it started out as an independent gym, say. It was like that was the first step. I love the way that you're using the word community as well, because people, I don't like when people just say people are just customers. That's fine if that's those guys, but you're saying it's a community is what you've grown over the last 10 years.
Yes, indeed, it's community. And it's what makes it that is the reference and trust. A lot of you go into the business as a trainer, you want to do everything. You're at everyone's beck and call. And then you got to pump the brakes. We have to learn how to say no.
Yeah.
And as an athlete, everything was scheduled for you. Everything was time. You didn't have the time to say no. So on the point of me retiring, I said, you know what? I have to learn how to say no. And by doing that, less became more.
Yeah, of course. And did you
less
specialize?
Became more for me. Yeah.
You specialize as well?
Well, yes, because I didn't want to take on so many people, and I said, let me just grab a handful of people, 5 people that believe in me, my brand, and what I do. Yeah. And then that reference there from them, those 5 will generate into the community in which I'm trying to build.
Yeah. So it was small steps. It was those initial people, and then grow it out from there.
Indeed, because you have to crawl before you walk.
Yeah, brilliant. That's exactly what we're doing here with Subkit and Go Solo as well. As you know, we are, obsessed by helping our initial kind of, Subkit entrepreneurs, really. But again, from that, it will grow. But I think you've got to get those foundations so right when building a community.
Yes, indeed. You have to build that community. You have to build in order for people to trust, to trust in your name and your brand, because that's everything. That is you. Your business is not going to thrive if you're consistently, you're late all the time, or you're always canceling and you're not on, it's not going to work. People aren't going to believe in that. They don't see that energy.
Yeah. And also, I think kind of like, we've mentioned this a few times, and it's a big buzz term in the world right now, the passion economy. It's that kind of, are you able to make your living, your work, something that you massively enjoy? And it seems like you do. You've always strike me as having a very positive attitude when we've met in the past before. We're going to dig, like I said, into your story in a minute, but, it seems like, you wake up every day and you're still pumped to come to work 10, 11 years on.
Oh, yes. I mean, for me, at 3 a.m., my wake up call is a normal. And for me, for 3 a.m. to wake up to start with my first client at 5:30 or 6 a.m. is normal. And I didn't mind that. And that energy that I have for my 3 a.m. or my 6 a.m. client is the same exact energy I would have for my last client in the afternoon, say would be. And, and that's what people gravitate towards. That's the energy, what they believe in, that, okay, this is the brand. I want to be a part of this. I mean, rain, sleet, or snow, this guy's energy is consistent. And that's what you want to try to be in your business: consistency.
100%, man. It's all about that energy as well. And like you said, if and also from your business, if you're putting your name on the tin, you know, you're wearing the BREWERBODY t-shirt right now, you've got to live that. It's your personal brand and business brand.
Indeed. It becomes personal and business. Yes,
exactly. Now, obviously we've been talking about this a little bit, you know, over the last, say, 10, 15 minutes. You know, I'm very interested to know about your life before BREWERBODY. You know, like, you know, let's take a step back. Obviously, you know, where were you born? Where did you come from? You know, like literally, you know, when were those steps? You said that you were an athlete. You know, tell us all about it and the journey that you've been on to get to BREWERBODY today.
Wow, it was a powerful journey.
Yeah.
You know, I started, you know, it started in about, I'd say in my younger years, you know, coming up, loving sports, wanting to be an athlete. But that wasn't my all in end goal. So I'm playing basketball in Europe. First of all, I was born in Africa, Monrovia, Liberia.
Right. Okay.
Born there, came over to the US, like probably about 5 years old. And I've lived in, you know, America my whole life. So when it's funny, when I meet anyone from Africa or something, like, well, you have no accent or anything. It's like, man, I've been here for years. So that's been gone. You know, and so fast forward, you know, I'm getting older. I'm in school. And I played a lot in basketball tournaments, you know, professional tournaments. So, you know, every summer, you know, these pro-am tournaments would go in. Nike and all these other things would come to the city and I'd play them. And then I never really pursued basketball as my number one, you know, final goal in life.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. But then that's how I met my agent. And he kind of proposed this to me like, hey, you can do some pretty good things. When you say, you know, get you worked out and you fly out and see a couple of teams try out for them. If it works out, then, you know, if you want to do it, you can do it. If not, then you can move on. It was such a great proposition. So I said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm out there playing a couple of years. And then I'm at the point to where I'm like, man, the prep time for a game is taking more than what I'm playing. Yeah. So the body starts to catch up with you.
And just to check in, this was in Italy, wasn't it? This was Milan, yes. I think you were in?
This is, I was in Milano and then also in Sicily, Sardinia. Okay. I was like, as they would say in Italian, so simply in Giro. So in Giro, which means you're kind of all around the world. You're going all around north, south, traveling to, you know, and I wouldn't change that for the world. But as you know, time was getting to me and the body starts talking and you're like, well, what do you want to do with your life at the end of this? What are you going to do? And I always wanted to keep fitness a part of me. I didn't want to just stop it. So it's like, well, you know what? I'm going to become a fitness trainer, personal trainer. So, you know, you go through that, you get your certifications and everything, you go through it. And then you're like, okay, well, what do I envision? I envisioned, you know, a community of just everyday athletes, because we all want to be that athlete. We all want to be that powerful. We see them on TV. We want to do what they do. We want to wear what they wear. We want to do their workouts. So I wanted to bring that effect into the everyday life.
I want to be like Mike. Was that the?
Yes, yeah.
That was the advert. Was the commercial?
That was the ad growing up. That was it. You do want to be like Mike, and that was the old end goal, and that's what I really want to do. So, in 2017, as I say about mid 2017, you know, everything's feeling good. My body is good. Then all of a sudden, I can't really do the things like as far as squatting or running and jumping. And, us men, we kind of put things off on the side, like, oh, my wife will say, you got to go check this out. You got to get it checked out. And, men were like, yeah.
Oh, it's true.
So later on, I mean, I go see my doctor, and he says, James, we've got some really serious news, to where apparently there was an infection found part on my left knee. I'm like, infection? How can that be? He's like, and he's going through, he's like, you need to have surgery, like right now, like in 24 hours, you have to do it, or else you're going to lose your leg. And I'm like, whoa, what do you mean that? And, and we're like, how does this happen? How did this, he's like, and, it was kind of hard more. I mean, because you have your doctor and a team of doctors there, and they come into you, and they're just looking at you and holding your hand and telling you, like, this is like, 1 in a billion chance of happening. And it just happened to happen to you.
Yeah.
And we had to do that surgery as soon as possible, because the infection was coming up into the bloodstream. So if that comes up into the heart,
it's game over.
It is game over right there.
Yeah. And I guess as well, like it's specifically important for you, because this is your industry. You need arms and legs, I would take it, to be able to do the work that you do.
To run, jump, to do those things. So, and all right, so we go through, we're agreed. I'm all right, okay, let's do what you need to do. I'm all on board, mentally, physically, spiritually. Let's do this. Okay, first surgery comes through. All right, well, then we're sitting there, laying there. It's like, well, we couldn't quite get it.
Yeah.
Then we have to go back in again. And then there's again and again. So in 5 weeks' time, I've happened to have 8 surgeries on one leg, on one knee. 8 surgeries.
Wow.
8 surgeries. We're going under 8 times, trying to get that infection out, on how aggressive it is. And so on that 8th one, we finally, I've got the news that, okay, we got it.
Yeah.
But then there's a point to where I've lost my range of motion, which, as far as, I can't bend that leg.
Yeah.
It would only probably be maybe about 20 degrees. So it's like a little, nothing to, you really can't sit down. So my left leg was just straight. As I would sit down, you could bend your knee, but I couldn't. So with this is where community comes in, and your brand. If I can go back to that, to where
please do.
I've built, BREWERBODY is all about, being powerful and community and helping. And that so many people knew my journey.
Yeah.
And so someone reached out to me, as far as to where I was able to get in contact with another doctor that said, hey, that took on my challenge in order to try to get me the range of motion that I needed. So, and then fast forward into 2018, I had the one more surgery just to get more range of motion in that knee.
Yeah. And
it was successful, but I can't really fully run or bend the knee 90 degrees, but I'm halfway there working on it. And it's tough, because sometimes you look and you see other trainers that are able to run and jump and do the things, and you recall all the things that you used to do, and you can't do it. You have to take a step back and, all right, how am I going to adjust? How am I going to adjust? And then my mental mindset, the athletic mindset, well, it's you just I had to keep on going. I had to keep pushing. How am I going to overcome this? What's my this is not my end game.
Yeah.
And that's where the working out consistently, repetition. I found that has been a very intricate part of my life.
Well, you know what? This was something I was going to actually follow up on, because actually, like you just said, it's not just one surgery. It's not just 2, it's 8 surgeries that you've had, which is kind of crazy. And I guess it almost gets that worry of, like, how many more surgeries you can have before they say, well, look, we can't do this for the rest of your life, and kind of do this. So I guess, like you said, being an athlete, you know, a lot of that is mindset. It's training, it's mental toughness. I guess that's probably what carries you through.
Yes, the mindset, because I went in on my first surgery at maybe 190 pounds. And on my final last one, I was maybe 145 or 150.
Yeah.
So I really dropped so much weight. I couldn't hold myself up. I couldn't even do a push-up or a pull-up.
Yeah.
And with the things that kept me going, I have 7-year-old twins now,
Yeah.
boy and a girl. And I from the first surgery on, I always, and not seeing them for months because I was in the hospital.
Yeah.
I that kind of drove me also, in order to, like, all right, I have to, it's for them. I
Yeah.
have to be strong for them.
Of course.
And that's what really kept me going. Yeah.
I mean, as a, you know, as an ex-professional athlete, you know, we'll dig deeper into the entrepreneurship side later, but, you know, were there dark times where you wondered whether you would ever come through it? You know, was it, you know, were you able to process it at the time? Obviously, you had dependencies in terms of a family. You know, you said the twins. You know,
Yes.
how was that? You know, were there times it was up and down? Tell me about
that. To be honest, I have a crazy kind of mindset, but I didn't have any dark times. I would see the dark times when, probably where, my wife would come and visit me. And when I finally saw the kids, to where they took a step back and saw how, skinny, on how I dropped weight, on how daddy doesn't look the same.
Yeah.
I always had to keep the same positive, energy.
Yeah.
And for some apparent reason, I don't know what to make of it, but I didn't have that dark cloud. I always knew I was gonna come out of this.
Yeah.
And so I would see the worry on their faces, and I didn't want to worry. I wouldn't want two people worrying, looking at it, and then we're like, oh no. So whoever came to see me, I would see the worry on their face, but I would just bring out whatever energy I had.
And like I started off this call by saying, you've always struck me as a very positive person, and that kind of carries on. I think what's interesting from your story as well, to use the word community, is that this wasn't just like at the end of your basketball career and then, you then open the gym afterwards or whatever. It was kind of right in the middle of of your entrepreneurial journey, really.
Yes.
So you found that community were able to rally around, your customers understood, they were supportive. It was almost like they were evangelists of what you do. They'd almost transcended to be fans as opposed to just customers.
Yes, because they recall, they knew everything I used to do before the knee surgery. Yeah, they knew the type of person I was, what BREWERBODY was, what I represented, and they, every day, like going out jogging with them, running, doing this X, Y, and Z. That energy that I provided, and and then waking up the next day not being able to run or jump again. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And they, you get to see how community rallies behind you, visits, messages, not taking classes because of, on where I used to teach, but, constantly day in, when is he coming back? What's the status on him? People used to, they come in to tell me, apparently it's like some new person had started working there. And everyone would come in and ask for James, and she didn't know who I was, what BREWERBODY was. I'm like, who's this bro? Why does everybody come in and asking about this guy? Who is this guy? And then, after, when I'm back and walking, I finally meet her, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're this guy, and and everyone's been talking about you and wondering, asking me questions, and I just started working here, and like, I don't know this guy, who is he? But I mean, and and so it's infectious.
It is. And I mean, I'm obsessed by communities. I've built them over the years, for the last 10, 15 years, really. And there is such a magical ingredient, really. Like it's like we said at the start of the show, it wasn't just customers, even fans maybe does it a disservice. It actually is a community you're building. And it's almost like that's the success of a real community, when you can take yourself out of the equation, but it manages to exist on itself. But as a business owner as well, the fact that you have a product, that you have a service, fits in very well to that community as well. You know, things carry on.
Yes, they do. And everyone realizes about my injury. And so there's certain things that I'll probably do, and they'll understand, be like, okay, I know what James is saying, because, you know, normally he could do it, but he can't show us. So I pretty much cut myself in half to where my exercises and everything are done on my stronger side. So I'm constantly training on one side of my body.
Yeah.
You know, just to for that visual. I don't know if you could paint that visual, but yeah.
I'm thinking, you know, you might have one leg that's super muscular, one that's super skinny like mine. Do you know what I mean? So I'm wondering like where that is. But you know, I guess, you know, what's the range of motion now that you have? You know, like, have you, you know, are things getting better? Do you have physio? I'm interested to know where that is.
I constantly, you know, work on getting stronger and better. I think I might have to need, you know, one more surgery I was thinking to myself that to get to that more better range, because I really can't sit down and bend that knee the way I would like to.
Yeah.
And that's the frustrating part. But
I hate to use the word opportunity here, James, but do you actually feel that because maybe you're spending less time doing the physical workouts, that actually maybe gives more room for you as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, to maybe look at things from afar, if you're less involved in the kind of data, you know, or almost like that might be a movement you want to make, where you get to see the big picture, and it's more than about hiring great people that will fit into the brewer body to work for you. It's about extending out your brand. You know, do you feel you have more time spent on that than the actual exercise part?
Somewhat. It's tough because we're all different. Yeah. And not everyone is going to bring that same, you know, brewer body energy on what what I bring to the table. Kind of you cannot duplicate it. Like, I cannot be Jonny. Jonny cannot be, you know, brewer body. It just cannot be. But what you do is you try to find that person's or persons that you see that has kind of similar drive that you can have. And going into, you know, you can't do it by yourself. You need that second person to bounce ideas off, to agree and disagree.
Yeah.
And still at the end of the day, come together as one.
Yeah. And
I'm a big believer in that. And it's tough to find. It's a diamond in the rough. Yeah. But I've happened to find that in my COO, which we bounce, you know, we go at each other. Meredith, my assistant, we bounce things off of. She's like, you do this, do that, because I'm not a phone guy.
Yeah.
And she consistently tells me, you have to do this. These are things you have to do. And I'm like, why do you have to do it? Well, no, this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
And it's when you're by yourself, you can't do it. You can't do it. You need that second or third ear in your.
Yeah, especially once, like you said, you've been in this game for a while, the 10 or 11 years, and you're now reaching a point where you want to expand, and also you need those extra sounding boards as well, I guess, to, you know, like you said, you can't do it all yourself. It's handy to have external people, whether that's a support network or people in other industries or employees for you as well.
Yes. Yeah. And that's one of the powerful things that I like about you know, having that second person to bounce your innovative ideas off of.
Yeah.
And there's two.
Yeah. And, you know, it's, you know, like things have really grown over the last, 10, 11 years. You know, I'm interested to know what your background is. You know, do you actually come from an entrepreneurial background yourself? You know, was there any desire in the blood to create a business due to family or friends that have done it in the past? You know, like, I guess when your main drive was on becoming a basketball superstar, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to become an owner of a business one day. I'm going to create a growth business, whatever. I'm interested, like, has there been an entrepreneurial mindset from day one, maybe, you think?
Yeah, it has been. Working for big gyms and companies, and because they have a certain motto in which they do their things. And when you're solo, you get to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to take BrewerBody outside the box, outside of the typical just benching or anything. There's so many ways you can do a push-up. There's so many different ways you can do a pull-up. And I wanted to reach out and tell everyone, like, hey, this is not, you can do it this way. It's okay to do it this way. It doesn't have to be at my level of strength, because no one is me, no one is you.
Yeah.
So if I'm using 20 pounders, you could use 10 pounders and you still get the same effect.
Yeah.
I didn't have that. Again, I did think that BrewerBody would become, I did think about it would become something, but the more and more I had it with my clients, and the more reference, the more community I was building, there was no way I could walk away from this. Like, there's no way I could stop doing this.
Yeah. And do you have opportunities to take the business further? I mean, like how, in terms of investment, in terms of, expansion, like I'm interested to know, like for you, where that happiness level is beyond becoming a, like, do you see yourself on, on a bus one day going past to go, wow, BrewerBody's up there. Oh, that's me. Wow, look, we're really booming. Or do you want to have something that fits in with your lifestyle? I'm interested to know what your ambition is probably for BrewerBody in the future as well.
I mean, the ambition is just to have something small in a community that's like this buzz in the community. Like, you have to go there. Like, if you come to New York and you're an athlete, or you're everyday, and you hear about these other gyms, and like, no, you got to check this. You got to go to BrewerBody, check it out, see what it's about. And that should be one of your it's a tourist attraction.
Yeah. Well, next time I'm in New York, I'm going to pop by.
Yes, indeed.
And I'm interested, as we move through into this kind of like next section of the Go Solo show, I'm really interested to just get an idea really about kind of like your business and some of the tips which might be more relevant to a lot of the entrepreneurs who, listen to this show. Because entrepreneurs, I think everybody out there, if you're listening right now, you can hear that James probably has the same situation as a lot of entrepreneurs right now, with homeschooling and kids around as well. So we're very real people here on the Go Solo show as well. We're all doing COVID the best we possibly can as well. But in terms of those fellow entrepreneurs out there who could be running anything from chefs running their own businesses to yogis to anything like that. I'm interested if somebody wanted to maybe get fit from starting from zero, I try and do my 10,000 steps a day, James, I try and eat a fairly healthy balance, but like if I wanted to try and make some small steps to stop me from slumped over my laptop 60 hours a week, what advice would you give to the person who probably is working a lot of hours, but really knows they probably should do something with their body, but probably needs to start from zero?
Well, that's the best thing, to start from zero. You want to first find the love in self-care, because it begins with you.
Yeah.
It's all about you. So if you want to better yourself, better your energy, and you start with these small things, and you want to, it all starts with probably just rolling your shoulders back, or deep breathing, or deep meditation.
Yeah.
Those little things there, like, hey, this kind of feels good. I want to keep this thing going. I want to keep this thing going. And it kind of snowballs into self-care, better you. But entrepreneurship, as you alluded there, I take it to where I am. It stems from my athletic background and constantly repetitions in order to get better. Yeah. I didn't have a really good, say, free throw shooting percentage. So every day I would work on my craft, work on my free throws. And that's what you want to do as an entrepreneur. You want to consistently work at your craft, rain, sleet, or snow.
Yeah.
That's the way you have to do it. That's the way I did it.
Yeah.
And it works. It works for me, but not everything works for everyone. But I'm a big believer in consistency and repetition and repetition.
And you use that with, similar times every single day. When you mention consistency, I know you said you rise early in the morning out of bed. You do that, would you suggest meditation is a great thing for a clear head, or it's just more about like you said, repetition, the alarm clock doesn't go on to snooze. And I'm interested to know how you get into that, because I read all these books, Tim Ferriss, everything. I think, wow, I could be incredible. And I maybe get to day 3 or day 4 and I'm up at 6:30 a.m. And then I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm tired today. I should maybe have 2 hours of extra sleep or something. And it falls out of sync here. How are you driving that? How do I get into that repetition?
You write your do's and don'ts. You grab a piece of paper, split it in half, write your do's. On the other side, you write. I mean, your wants. You do what your needs and your wants. Excuse me.
Yeah.
It's your needs and your wants. You write down what you need, and then on your next column, you write down what you want. And what you need, if your needs have to be more than your wants.
Yes.
And once you get that, you look it through, you look it over. All right, I need to get a better self. I need to be a better me. How are we going to do that? What do you need to do? Well, let's start you off. You wake up, you just change everything. As far as you find that routine, how can I say you find that routine? Find something that works for you. If it's waking up every day, try something different. Maybe brush your teeth with your left hand instead of your right hand if you're right-handed. And if you're left-handed, you're going to brush your teeth right-handed. See how that feels. Try that out. Try something new. Breathing. I'm a big fan of the. Yeah,
that's going on the list, man. I can manage that. Let's get on the list.
It's you have to. I mean, you have to look at yourself. I know it's tough. We're tough. You have to be a tough critic on yourself.
Yeah.
You have to say, look, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah.
And what am I going to do to change it?
Look at the big picture. Like look at maybe where you want to be in 12 months and work backwards. Or
yes, yeah. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to start? How are you going to start it? And where do you want to be? You start slow. You have to crawl before you walk.
Yeah.
Meditating, breathing, squatting, just sitting down and up from a chair, from your computer desk. That's also, a really good start.
Yeah.
I like to say. I don't know, but
well, I'm going to get you on speed dial now, as well. I'll just be like, look, dude, I've done the teeth brushing for a week now. Like, I'm ready for step 2. You're like, crunch these 500 pounds of steel or something, but I think that's good advice. And I always ask this question because I think, health and fitness is such an important thing as an entrepreneur anyway, just to try and chip away at it. We all talk about priorities. We talk about how much time we have in our day-to-day life. But I think, taking that time for health and mental wellness is so important, because that's the strong foundations for anybody running any business, I guess.
Yes, because I mean, when you start and in the fitness world, you want to help everyone, and you cannot train everyone. Yeah. And you're at a point to where you find yourself, you're burning yourself out.
Yeah.
And that's where you have to take a step back and be like, all right, no, I cannot do this. No is tough to say. In our business, and just even for other people, it's tough to say no.
Yeah.
And once you learn how to say no, I think as an entrepreneur, that's where, you make that next step. Yeah. That next step into getting better.
Yeah.
You have to learn how to say no. You cannot take on. I started my mornings 3 a.m. to be in the city at 6 a.m. From 6 a.m. to about 1 p.m. in the afternoon, that was my cutoff.
Yeah.
Because why? Because I made sure that by 2:30, I was picking up the kids. And that's where I found that kind of work balance there on that scale. So I would do everything in the morning to where I would have whatever family time, whatever may be your thing. It could be family, the kids, or just your space. That's how you want to find the balance. But before kids, you could catch me there from 6 a.m. all the way probably to 6 p.m. You know,
it's true.
Taking on the world. I want to do this, I want to do that. But you have to learn. That's where you learn how to say no. And once you say no, that's where the balance starts to happen.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, you know, we work for a reason. There's numerous drivers, you know, financial, you know, self-fulfillment, you know, like self-actualization, you know, to make an impact on people, make an impact in your community. There's many reasons we all do what we do. But I think looking at that perspective, you know, like you also want to look on a personal level where that fits into your lifestyle. You know, like you said, with having kids, you want to see the kids, you want to pick them up, you want to do that. So like you said, you could probably work 20 hours a day if you really want to, but that's not going to be a nice life for you. That isn't why you were put here on planet Earth. You know, and you're probably not going to live very long as well if you carry that on as well.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know, because you get up at 3 a.m. What time do you go to bed? Like how much of an emphasis do you put on sleep? You know, as important.
I'm a big fan of sleep because I take naps during the day. Right. So that's one of the secrets there. You have to listen to your body. This is one of the things we tend not to do, but you have to try to figure out a way to find a way to listen to your body. Like if you feel yourself dozing off, take that nap. It's 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Once you do that, you're back on, you're energized, you're ready to go. That's why when everyone sees me, my same energy at 6 a.m. is the same for my last person at 1 p.m. or, you know, whatever time in midday.
Yeah.
Because probably through that course, I probably took a 20 or 30 minute nap, and then that kind of recharged me to where I'm able to maintain that same level of energy.
But have you now reached a point where you can just nap on cue? You know, like can you say, well, it's nap time, or, you know?
Oh yeah, the kids, the twins, they know. They kind of see me dozing. Dad's falling asleep. Yeah. He'll be back in like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and then all good. We're back to playing. Yeah, brilliant. But I don't stay up as late nights or anything like that. I just want to say that you should just try to listen to the body. If the body says, look, I'm tired, you have to finish this, take that nap or wake up earlier, then you wake up earlier and finish the work before, you have to go about your day. Yeah. But it's very important that you get that rest.
I think that's so important. And I really like the idea of naps. You know, I might try and start fitting that in myself. Actually, I don't know when, but I'm going to go for it.
Try to fit that in. Yes.
I've got to do. And also, you're a coach, James, you're Coach Brewer, let's call it that. But basically, this could be applicable to life coaches, business coaches, even people who want to coach members on their team. I guess everybody's taking people on a journey. They start at 0 or they start at 10, but they want to get to 100. What's your advice in terms of motivating your clients really and helping keep them on track? Are there any triggers or tricks you have to try and put in place to keep them coming back? How do you stop them from canceling on you if you've got a one-to-one or a group session or something? How do you re-engage them to get them excited to keep the journey and to keep feeling good?
Constantly raising the bar, challenging them mentally and physically. Like you say, because also being a trainer, you're also kind of a therapist and you listen a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the things I've found that I'm a great listener. You have to be able to listen.
Yeah.
That's one of the things there. And the tricks of the trade, you have to, once you listen, then you're able to engage and read and pick out detail. You pay attention to detail because that's what we want. We want someone to look and see if they're doing something right or wrong. And you should have to be able to, to see that visual and point it out and like, okay, let's work on getting this better and making it fun.
Yeah.
I make it fun. I'm sorry. I'm giving you virtual fist pumps to the screen. I'm yelling, I'm calling out your name. Like, come on, this is, I'm trying to.
I'm joining, man. Like, in a few weeks when we see you on Subkit, I'm going to be joining 100%.
Yes, because there's like, wow, and that's what I found, that people who taken my group classes before pandemic, it was the experience. They said, of course, the workout was tough and everything, and it was great, but there's like, James, it's the experience that we had with you that sets you apart from me going to the next person. It's that experience. You, if it's your first name, or you gave me a nickname, even if you didn't know my name, you gave me a nickname or something. I felt like I was there. I was a part of this community, and I was with everyone, even though it was my first time, but it felt like I've been there for forever, joining this community. And that's what I've been able to bring during this pandemic, this Zoom, and that's what's able to keep my business going.
I think that's so strong. I mean, like we've talked community many times already in this last, like part of this show on the Go Solo show. But I think it is just so important, like making it different, making it fun, making it exciting. And I guess keeping it fresh as well. That comes from the one-to-ones to the group sessions to whatever. It's, people are paying a premium for high quality, exciting, fun, and people will pay that.
Exactly. Because there's so much content out there, and people say, why don't you do this? I was like, well, what I bring to the table has some value.
Yeah.
Not that anything's wrong with doing that, but what I have, what I bring, it's valuable.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a price tag on this and to be, it's valuable.
It is, and it's the personality. That's what shine throughs really. You don't want to go to something where, for some people, I guess, they may have had a busy day at work, or they may have, maybe they don't feel motivated to go. But if they say, I look forward to going to BREWERBODY, or I'm going to do the online class, the offline class, whatever, I'm going there because it's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable. I want to be there, and you're going to get something out of it. It's going to uplift your spirit.
Yes, and I think that resonates because, we're on the Zoom already. You're on the Zoom. So you're going to tell me for that 30 minutes or 45 minutes that you're going to go back to the Zoom and work out again, where you want to try to get away from it. I think that says a lot, because that's what it's the experience again, as we get back to that, and the community that you see each and every day on that screen. And you tend to be like, oh, I want to show up. I don't want to be, and then if you miss it, then John or Peter is going to be like, where's Carol? She didn't come in. Or when she comes in, like, they'll quickly chat, like, where were you the other day?
Yeah.
And so that's what that's what BREWERBODY brings, that community that holds you accountable.
Yeah,
because it's tough. You're on that screen, and then you're going to tell me another 45, you're going to sweat and but yes you are, because this takes you away from that every day, that all that stress that you had, and this 30 to 45 minute window doesn't seem like a task.
Yeah, I agree. And, like I've just done a blog post on big business versus, the entrepreneur, the solo entrepreneur. And, like we can all subscribe to software. We can all subscribe to faceless services, because it's easy, it's cheap. But ultimately, it will never replace those entrepreneurs who are going about it and giving something different in the marketplace, that real personality, the community. We all want to grow our businesses. We hope that it becomes really successful. But if it's Apple or Peloton or anything like that, there's only so far that can go without without reducing the personal experience, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it all comes down to that, the experience. That's what everyone tells me, that James, your classes are, I can go here and do that same thing, but if I do that same thing with you, you're giving me a high five, you give me a fist pump, you're cheering me on, and maybe someone else is next to me, or I see them and they're doing the same thing but struggling the same way I am. So I don't feel like I'm the weakest person or something like that. So it's all in modification.
Yeah. Well,
it's
like I
levels.
said, keep an eye out for that fist pump is what I'm going to be doing. And if you have some virtual way to pick me off the floor when I'm collapsed in my living room or something, then
Just start levitating a little bit, and
I may do. It's been a while since I did anything too strenuous, I must say. No, I guess I get out. I'm looking forward to playing tennis again in a few weeks. We're allowed to do that, after lockdown. So it's all good. Right, James, we're going into our rapid fire round now, our almost famous rapid fire round now on the Go Solo show. So you can add a little bit of flavor to these. So don't worry, you can add a bit more to, what we're saying, but I'm going to ask you these and let us know what you think. So who are your favorite entrepreneurs in life and why?
I think that's a great question. And I think it's generational for me. Yeah. I have so many that I've picked from each generation growing up from the time I was born up until now. I can say it's my mother. I can say it's Michael Jordan. I can say it's Tiger Woods, all these. And I can say it's my neighbor, my next door neighbor. I always take a little bit of something from everyone. So there's not just one person or persons that I say, okay, this is the number one, this is who I feel is. No, because we're all different. Yeah, I'm taking a little piece of Jonny with me. I'm taking a little piece of, and bringing that all together. Yeah. And in sense of, because, in a community kind of way, that's how, there's not just one. So for me, it's generational. Yeah. And my idols are all generational, even the Kobe Bryants of the world, the Shaquille O'Neals, the, Steve Jobs of of the world. It's a little piece of everyone that I have taken and learned from. Inspiration, tips, tips. Tony Robbins, one of my favorites there. That's, and it's just, you have to finding what works with you, what works for you. And I find for myself, for BREWERBODY, it's a little piece of everyone. Yeah, it's brilliant. A little piece of everyone. And you know what? We're building lists here from our solo entrepreneurs that we interview on this show, in terms of inspiration from different people. So that's good because we can add a few people in there as well, which is brilliant. So they'll all be going on the list. Yes. In terms of your business, in terms of your lifestyle, do you read a lot? Do you consume business books? Do you, consume autobiographies? Do you consume online guides? Like how do you fill your brain with knowledge? That you maybe there was a business book that you want to share with like other entrepreneurs or something which has really stood out to you. Well, I've been blessed to have a unique clientele to where there's business, there's athletics, there's, everyday. So I really don't flood myself with readings. I do read the daily events that go on in the world, and my business tips I get from my people that I train that are in business. Yeah. So I kind of learn from the outside looking in on how they move and how they operate. And I ask a lot of questions. Yeah. So that it's tough to say. I wouldn't say there's a book or anything that I do read a lot of, autobiographies and things like that, but there's no like business book that I've set out. My business knowledge comes from my clientele in business who I train and me asking questions to them and learning. Oh, and I think that's completely fine. I mean, I think that's one of the most important things is to see what's happening in the world around us. I mean, it's like, people who invest in the stock market, the stock market really is a reflection of the world and trends and what's popular and what isn't and what industries aren't going to come up next. So, if you have some high net worths, who you train or whatever, or people who are involved in this, then they're probably in a very natural state with you, James. They're giving you advice, tips about where the world is. Yes, that's where I feel, more comfortable instead of probably there's nothing wrong with getting it from a book or from, listening to it. But I just feel more comfortable like having that person right there, right on. If I train a tech person and I'm like, hey, my phone or blah, blah, I'm having this problem, and boom, that's me reaching out and learning more because they're giving me their service. I'm giving my BREWERBODY service, and it goes on hand in hand. Yeah. So that's why I feel I'm able to, I like to learn that way.
Oh no, and I think that's great. Primary source of information and all that. I'll be coming
Yeah,
to you for tips soon,
yeah.
James, and say, hit me up with what you're hearing on the streets of New York.
That's
So in your life, like you strike me as obviously always being very, very positive. You're not one to look back. In terms of your life in business, is there any point where you've said, you know what, I wish I could have done this differently? That, maybe, because one of the things in life is making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And obviously, if we can share any insights with other entrepreneurs, I was just wondering if there's anything when you've tried to, run or grow your business, you've gone, I maybe should have done something different there, whether it's launching a new product or, something that happened that you wish you could have done differently.
well, yeah. I found that coming up in business, that no one is going to have the same love for what you're doing. Only you have that love. They're not going to, they'll come as close as they can to it, but it's not going to always be the same as what you bring. And I can't say I looked back, I haven't rushed. I've taken my time with this. With the brewer, true story. I've taken my time with BREWERBODY. I didn't rush into it. Of course, there was a time to where maybe last year, maybe or 2 years ago, I was thinking that you need this humongous big facility, and come to look, we're in a pandemic, and I would have been up the creek with that big facility. So, and so now I think that's a really good thing to where I've learned where you have to start small. In whatever space that you may have, and then you build and then you grow, because then starting small, you crawl before you walk. You have that 1 or 2 or 3 persons that said, hey, you need to expand, you have a really good thing here, let me help you expand. You never know, things like that happen. There are people out there in the world that want to help people just as much as you do. So here, let me help you try to expand and grow this thing and get bigger and get you out of the small space that you have. So it's the little steps,
gradual steps
there.
Like you said, I mean, like sometimes you might be saying to yourself, oh, why didn't I take that big facility, why didn't I do this? But no, the situation can shift so quickly. You haven't got a crystal ball to know what's around the next corner. So who knows? I guess you just got to make those decisions at the time and trust that you're making the right decision. Be ambitious, but trust that you're making the right decision, and things will work out as long as you don't over leverage yourself over time.
That's true. And I mean, during this pandemic, there's a lot of entrepreneurs have come out, and those have come out that okay, you have this brand, but no one knew this brand before pandemic. So how do you expect for people to know your brand now? That's even tougher. And so some people ask me, they're like, well, I want to join the BREWERBODY team, but I don't have that following yet.
Of course.
I don't have that following that so I'm like, that's pretty fine, that's okay. And so my advice is you have to consistently work on your craft and build that following, build that brand, so we know what you represent if again a pandemic or something happens. We're at fault because everyone wants to be their own boss, their own this, but then no one knows what you do. We have to know what you do before we can say, oh, I stand behind that, I like that. I like that.
And if you can take this online, which you are doing, more and more people, it becomes the fact that BREWERBODY exists outside of NYC. It can exist on the East Coast. It can exist in Europe. Like it can transcend that as long as you build out the brand as well.
Indeed, and that's one of the small goals there that we would like to do. One of the next stepping stones in order to get out of the whole Upper East Side. Not to say anything's wrong, but get down to Lower Manhattan, Tribeca, Brooklyn, and then little by little, small little places.
And it seems to be working well for you so far. Like you said, you've taken your time to get to this point. Now is the time where you can start to plan out a little bit further as well.
Yes, indeed. Because to get to where apparel and merchandise to where you see the logo and the name, and people see that, and the visual, you're crossing the street, you see a BREWERBODY t-shirt, oh, that's the gym. You know, it's totally recognizable now. Before you walk around with that, it's like, what does that mean? People see that, they're like, what does that mean? Like, oh, that person goes to Brew, you know, they know exactly from the visual of the name or the logo.
It's the next Soul Cycle or something like this in terms of, you know, which is coming out. But it's kind of true, you know, you see the logo, you see the brand, you get it. You know what you're going to expect, but in a good way. You know, you're going to expect positivity, you're going to expect energy, you're going to expect personalization. So, no, really cool, man. In terms of being an entrepreneur, what does success ultimately mean to you?
That end of a session, that end of a class, seeing the gratification on my clients or, you know, clients' faces for the first time, or even if they've been with me for the whole, you know, 15, 20 years I've been with them, that energy, that expression at the end of our session is everything to me.
Yeah.
And it carries me on into the next day.
Yeah.
Every hour on the hour, it's a different personality that I am dealing with, that I see, that I speak to and listen to and train. And being able to take their mind away from their stress or bettering themselves just gives me the ultimate there.
Yeah.
It's ultimate.
And that's amazing, because on a micro level, those moments obviously mean so much, but they all stack up over time to what builds an empire, really. It's those moments.
Yes, it does. It does, because it's, you know, I was never one of those, I don't want to, but detail, again, I was never that guy that would just, all right, tell you to do something, and then, you know, I'm off for away, gazing away. I'm watching your every movement as we're talking, as you're working out. Even those that don't like the talking, I have some personalities that, you know, just tell me what to do and I'll do, boom. Yeah, and that's it. And I'm okay with that, because this is what they like. This is what keeps them coming day in and day out. Now, if I start, you know, going off of that track and talking and like, you know, Jay, I'm in a good zone here. Why do you want to, you know, we've been doing this for X amount of years. Why do you want to take, you know, it's like, you know, so yes.
Stop talking to you about stock tips you picked up, or, you know, I don't want to know about, you know, gossip and news from this side. So.
Yeah, there's some that they don't want to hear nothing, you know, and, you know, you'll also may have some that just listen to their music while we're training. So they'll pause their music. I'll have their set movements. They'll do them, put their music on, do them, take it off, listen, back and forth. But this is what works. That's the rapport. That's what gets them comfortable.
That's right. That word rapport is amazing, what you just said, because actually, it's these, you know, because that's what's going to generate, you know, recommendations. It's going to generate, you know, like that kind of word of mouth. It's going to generate that community feeling. And this has a habit of marketing your business for you. You know, obviously you want to add fuel to the fire with the commercials you've done, those sorts of things. But this is the ground structure. You don't get your product right, which is pretty much one-to-one sessions, or, you know, that kind of class 5 or whatever. Then you know, if the product is shaky, then actually people aren't going to want to be part of it anyway.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And for anybody out there who is maybe thinking of starting their own business, what advice would you give to them?
You have to love it, because it's not, you're going to have good times and bad times, but you have to love it, and you have to consistently believe in what you do, and that it's all going to work out. I mean, even if you do have your bumps in the road, you do have your, you know, but you have to keep working at your craft, repetition. That stayed with me as an athlete. That stays with me into the business world. That stays with me with my everything. It's repetition. You have to believe in it, and you have to want it, because no one's going to want it unless you do.
Yeah.
You know, no one's going to want that.
Yeah. That's going to be the, again, you're right. You don't love it, don't do it.
Yeah. If you don't love it, don't don't do it. I mean, if you don't, I mean, I didn't mind getting up at 3 a.m. I loved it. People like, that's kind of crazy, but I loved it. I didn't mind it. So, and that's why I was able to do it.
Yeah, of course. And final question, you'll be pleased to know. And then you're off the hook.
Man, final. No, I don't want to leave. I want to stay here all day and talk with you, Johnny. Come on.
We can talk about Chelsea and Juventus after we've finished recording. Maybe there'll be the bonus features or whatever as part of this as well. What's your vision for BREWERBODY over the next few years? Like, what would be your dream outcome if somebody, if I was to meet up with you, and hopefully I'll see you a lot more before then, but if I was to meet you 3 or 4 years from now in the street and I said, how's BREWERBODY going? What would be your dream outcome?
Dream outcome would be to have a nice athletic facility, nothing too big, still small, because that's just how I that's how I think, that's how I am.
Yeah.
Small, but in different locations to where where everyone can reach their fitness and lifetime goals. Yeah.
Yeah.
5-6 years from now, I see BREWERBODY as a big piece in fitness, where you see the name or the logo, and that quickly represents, oh man, this is the real deal.
Yeah,
this is the real deal.
Well, I'm excited to see that come to life, man. And you deserve it for the journey you've been on as well. Everything you've said, the mindset, the recovery, the still going through it, the building the community. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
And you can still see, one of my questions earlier was to ask you was, where'd you get your motivation from? But I think you've answered that without me having to ask the question, because it's, every day, you're plugging away. This is your dream job.
It is. I mean, I do have my, don't get me wrong, I'm human. I mean, of course, I cannot perform everything that I used to do, like squat jumping and things like that because of the need. But I do not, I look at that as a positive. For some reason, that I look at that as a positive. There's a reason why. There's a reason for everything. I don't know it, but it keeps me going, keeps my energy, my smile, everything going. Yeah. And I just didn't let that hamper me.
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of also, as we wrap up, there was, I watched that show, The Defiant Ones on Netflix with Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine. I don't know if you've seen it. Great documentary. And, Dre says at one point, he goes, I'm so pleased early on in my life, in his early 20s, to realize that, playing records and producing was what I was put on the planet to do. Like, it fills me up. But he says, I really feel sorry for people who spend their entire life not working out what they're supposed to be doing with their life. And I think it's kind of true, just that self-actualization. It's reaching the point where you're comfortable doing what you're doing and you're happy with that as well. Yeah,
I agree. You want to do what you're happy with doing. And that says it all. That says it all, because I mean, sometimes we get kind of stuck into things to where, all right, well, I'm doing this because this is a good job, or this, this pays the bills. But in all actuality, you have this other big ambition, this big vision outside of that. And we're kind of scared to take a dive into that pool and test the water to see how cold it is. Yeah. But actually, you just gotta do it. And once you take that dive, then you go in, then you want to stay afloat. And that's the best part. That's the fun part. That's where the love is trying to stay afloat.
Trying to stay afloat.
You gotta want to do it.
You gotta want to do it, man, and you gotta stay afloat. I'm gonna keep that with me all weekend as I'm kind of meditating on this, But there's a good kind of mantra for life as well. So, final words I say to you, James, is like, where can people find you online? And like, where do you hang out? Where's your website? Like, where should people go and find more about you online?
Oh man, you guys can find me. It's on brewerbody.com.
Yeah.
I have BREWERBODY Gym on Instagram. I have my VMO going on, my on-demand classes streaming. They're also there, and everything is pretty much there on the website, which you can go to and scroll through as far as merchandise, signing up for classes. VMO, everything. It's all there at the touch of a button, at the touch of a click. And let's get this started. One rep at a time. One powerful rep at a time. That's where we want to take it. Amazing. Each and every day.
Well, that leaves me to say, James Brewer of BREWERBODY, really massively enjoyed our chat today. Thanks for joining the Go Solo show. And thanks. Good luck for the future. And we'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you for having me. Thank you for the opportunity, Jonny. Sub kid. Thank you so much.
Nice one, man. Sounds good to me.